I'm going to give you 20 tips today for the do's and don'ts of email marketing. I'm going to talk about 10 do's and 10 don'ts. I'll leave it to you to guess where I work. But seriously, here are the 10 do's for email marketing. This is based on my experience in the last 5 years at Panaya and more recently at Yotpo. We've sent millions of emails. We've done gazillions of A/B testing. I'm not going to talk about measurement today. I'm probably the only one today not talking about measurement. But you did hear a lot about testing. We heard a lot about how to do A/B testing and the importance. I'm going to get to that at the last point. But before that, what I want to tell you is what I'm showing here are not just best practices I picked up off the internet. You can do that. It's fun. These are actually things we tried. Some of the things we expected to work didn't. And others that we didn't think would work actually worked very, very well. Those are the ones I'm going to be talking about. In the first half and the second half, I'm going to talk about things you should not do. Okay, so here are the top 10 things that worked for us in email marketing. This sounds like a cliche, but send awesome content, okay? I did some consulting with companies in the last year, and I've been working with different companies, seeing the content that they're trying to send out, and they're not figuring out why people don't want to download their 24-page white paper with technical specifications of their product. It's amazing content. We just don't understand why people aren't downloading it. Guys, people don't care. People don't care. You have to give them value. You have to give them something awesome that's relevant for the person opening your email. You have to give them something that they can use today, okay? So these are just some of the generic titles that if you start a title with one of these, like do's and don'ts, sounds familiar? Are you making these 5 mistakes in whatever you're doing? The top 10 tips for whatever your company does. Give them value, okay? It does not have to be about you. There's room for a salesy campaign. We kept them at a minimum. I think about 5% of the campaigns we did at Panaya were about Panaya products. The other 95% were content that brings value to the reader. We published a salary survey for the SAP market because that was the market we were selling to. We published news on enterprise support on the products our customers were using, not about our product. Think about what your readers want to read, not what your CTO wants your customers to read, okay? He probably knows less about what the customers want to read than you do, and just ask your customers if you don't know. You've got to provide them with awesome value if you want them to download the content. Once you bring them into your CRM system by giving them something valuable they wanted to read about, then you can start pitching them about your product. But if you want to get them in, I'm talking about lead generation now, and you want to measure high open rates and click-through rates, you've got to give them awesome content. They really want to read it. Okay. Number 2, and I cannot overstress the importance of this, write as you speak. Okay? If you look at the one on the left, this is what most marketing emails sound like. You don't want to miss out. Download our amazing case study, etc., etc. I'm sure you've all written some of these. I'm sure you've all read some of these. Okay? Which would you prefer to open and read? One that reads like that or one on the right? Starts with a subject line like, I thought you'd like this. And then you go inside and says, hi, Bob. Well, it's a problem if your name is Miriam, but assuming your name is Bob. Hi, Bob. I thought you'd be interested in this case study about a company like yours whom we help do this and that. Okay, that sounds like a human being wrote it. The best marketing doesn't sound and read like marketing. And there are a lot of companies that still don't get that, and their marketing still looks like the stuff on the left. So much of what I get in my inbox still looks like the stuff on the left. I don't open that stuff anymore. If I see exclamation marks, dollar marks, capital letters, things like that in the subject line, I just don't bother opening. Okay? If it doesn't sound like something that's coming from a person I know that would write to me in a way I'd want to read and be interested in, what's the point? I get a gazillion emails a day. I'm sure you do too. Okay? So write as you would speak. Make it personal. Number 3, this is very important. I see a lot of companies getting this wrong. You've got to make sure that all your campaign elements are in agreement. What do I mean by that? This looks a lot more complicated than it really is. Okay? This is just common sense. I just laid it out in the simplest way I could figure out. Say your first lead generation channels are a PPC ad or a banner or an email subject line. Okay? They need to lead you to the next stage in the campaign. Let's start with the bottom one. Okay? If I'm reading an email subject line, you want me to open your email, okay? That is the purpose of the email subject line. You want me to open the email? Now, if you think up of a clever subject line that will make me open the email, say something like, this is about your daughter, okay? Trust me, you'll get a great open rate, okay? You will. You'll get a great open rate, but if I go inside that email and you're now trying to sell me your sewage management solution, I'm going to be upset. I'm going to be upset because I was conned into opening that email. I was expecting A and you gave me B. The subject line must agree with the email. Once I click the email, because there's some promise in it that if I click on this, I will go to a world of beauty and wonderful things. If I click that and I get to a landing page that's offering me something different or calling your product by a different name, okay? Many times there are different varieties or spelling variations on a name of a product or services, or you're talking to me about a white paper I can download, and then I get to the landing page and you're actually selling me your product again, I'm gonna be pissed. I'm going to be pissed. I'm not going to give you my details, okay? That's unprofessional. And of course, once I've filled out the contact details and I finally get the content asset that you promised me, if it doesn't match my expectations, I'm going to be pissed. I will give you a piece of my mind when you call me up after you got my contact details. I will not want to do business with you. So you've got to make sure that all the parts of your campaigns, they use the same promise, they keep the promise that you gave them. You use the same titles, use the same colors, so I know I'm in the right place, okay? If your banner is red and blue, the landing page should be red and blue. Don't make it green and yellow, otherwise I don't know that I landed in the right place. If you promised a white paper in the beginning, follow through with that and give me a white paper in the end. Don't start with a white paper and give me a webinar. Don't start with a webinar and give me a product demo, okay? Everything has to be in agreement. And the reason why so many people make a mistake on this, I think, is because they have their designer doing their banners, they have someone else doing the landing pages, and they have the content writing the white papers, and they just don't speak to each other. And so she uses red and blue, he uses green and yellow, and she's writing about something entirely different. It's not a valuable white paper like the banners are promising, she's writing a product data sheet. Okay? So please make sure all the parts of campaign match. This will increase your conversion rates easily. Number 4, sell the sizzle, not the steak, okay? A lot of the content that we're writing, as much as we put effort into it, and especially if we're talking about a B2B product that can be a boring technical product, the product is not all that exciting, okay? Don't let it leave this room, but the product isn't all that exciting. What you can do to make it a lot more attractive is sell the sizzle, not the steak. If you want to talk about the 5 call center challenges, that sounds about as exciting as going to the dentist, right? But if you talk about the 5 secrets we uncovered about call center, I don't know, dungeons, that sounds a lot more exciting. Use power words. You can look up lists, the internet is full of them, of power words that have been proven to get people more allured to open them. Talk about discover the secrets of something. Finally, uncover the imagination of whatever. Explore. Use scary words, okay? Like the mistakes you don't want to be making, the fatal things you might be doing, the crucial mistakes you may be making. Talk about exciting things, okay? Again, you don't want to over-exaggerate, because if someone opens and he finds your data sheet for a building product, he's going to be upset. But if you use the same language inside the content asset, you should use this on the landing page, use it on the banner, use it in the email, use power words, and remember, the content asset, even if it's not as exciting as you wanted it to be, you still have a chance to sell the sizzle and make it sound a lot better. Why do we use that term, by the way, sell the sizzle, not the steak? If you look at menu items, and this was researched, if you look at menu items, when you go to, say, McDonald's, so it says what you're getting. It's a burger, it's a bun, it's fries, it's Coke, right? Now, when you go to a restaurant that wants to sell you a $20 burger, then they describe it as meadow-grown Kobe beef that was massaged and fed with beer and everything, and it's the same burger, okay, guys? It's the same burger. But the more words you add to describe it, you're selling the sizzle, not the steak, people are willing to pay more for it. It becomes a lot more attractive. If you talk about hand-picked tomatoes, they just sound more expensive than just tomatoes, right? And it works, and it will work on your content asset as well. Okay. Number 6, it's all about reciprocation. This is very, very important. Ideally, what you want to do is give something to your readers before you ask anything of them. Give once, give twice, and then ask for something. That means don't gate all your content. Don't make everything a deal that if I go into your homepage and the first thing I see is a pop-up, please give me your email, I'm going to run. I'm going to run, okay? You first want to give them something. Open up a lot of your content. I'd much rather that 99 people read my content and not give me their details than get that one person that's willing to give me these details, because I'm also about creating awareness. I'm about creating a word of mouth effect. I'm about getting my content out there. I've got to give a lot of content out there, publish it on guest blogs, get a lot of free content out there. Once you've established yourself as an authority, as something that people want to read more about, then you can ask them for their details. Okay, so first give, then ask for details, and then give more. Surprise them. If you're putting someone on a nurturing program, don't ask for his details or additional details every time you send them an email. Okay, I would say that once you have the basic details, give 3 pieces for free, and then the 4th piece, ask for some more details if you want to know more about them. Don't make it a bookkeeping deal that for everything you give, you expect something back. Give more than you expect to take, and you'll get what you want. Okay. Number 7, this is really important. You can use it in your email marketing, you can use it on your landing pages, you can use it on your website. Use other customers as social proof. People want to know that they're not your first customers, okay? There's a small, early innovator minority that will buy from you if they're the first. That excites them. They want to be the first to try anything. But 95% of your market are not those early innovators. They want to know that other customers like them have bought from you. They want to know they're not the first suckers to leave their details or leave their credit card with you. So here are 3 different ways you can use other customers for social proof. In an email, you can say something like, customers like Disney, Home Depot, and Bosch have been using our product to do this and that. That creates a sense of security, a sense of confidence in your customers, especially if these customers are in the referenceable market. If others are doing business with you, I might as well do business with you as well, okay? If you're selling to a bank, name 3 names of other banks that are using your product, and that'll help convince this bank to become your customer because they want to do what others are doing. 95% of people are followers, they're not leaders. They don't want to be the first, they want to follow what others are doing, they want to see what others are doing before they decide. So help them see what others are doing by telling them. A second option, which is obvious, and all of you are probably doing this, is using customer logos. I've got to say something on this because I'm always asked, well, do I need written permission from every customer to use their logo on the website? The answer is, of course you do. But the answer is no one ever does that. Why? If I had to ask Disney or Home Depot for permission to use their logo, my company would be out of business by the time that approval request went through their corporate marketing and then legal and then finance, and then they'd probably say no anyway. In cases like this, I go for forgiveness rather than permission. I've used hundreds of customer logos on my websites throughout the years. I've never been sued. I can count on one hand the number of times that a customer has seen their logo on my website, weren't happy about it, wrote me a polite email saying, hi Udi, I noticed we're mentioned on your website, but that's against our corporate policy, would you mind removing it? And I said, sure, and within 2 hours I removed their logo, no harm done. I still have 398 other logos up there that haven't asked me to remove it, okay? So in cases like this, I would go for forgiveness rather than permission, or you'll never get out of it. The third way to use customers for social proof is, of course, testimonials. Again, there are other ways, but I'm just talking about email marketing because there are obviously case studies and speaking opportunities and press releases and other things you can do with your customers. But testimonials are wonderful to have in your emails, to have on your landing pages. Again, this creates social proof. If I'm going to your landing page and I'm on my last minute of decision making, am I going to give you my contact details or not? And I see a customer with a brand name I recognize from my industry saying how wonderful your company is and how great your service or product was, that's going to help me make a decision to leave my contact details or to go on to the next step and sign up for your service. Okay? So customers, even if you only have 2 of them, use the hell out of them on all your marketing materials. Number 8 is how to create credibility. Now this is related to social proof, okay? But credibility, unlike social proof that comes from your customers or your buyer's peer group, credibility comes from third parties that are perceived as being objective, okay? So here are a couple of ideas. I'll mention a few more. One of them is award logos, okay? For those of you who still don't know because you're too young in the business, you can get awards, you can buy awards as much as you like. You can sign up for Red Herring, you can sign up for Fast 50, you can sign up for a gazillion different awards. A lot of them, you just put the money as a sponsor for the event and you get the use of the logo. Others are more prestigious, of course. If you want to be a gardener, a cool vendor, you're going to have to work for it. If you want to get into the magic quadrant, you're going to have to work for it. Some logos are harder to get, but they're worth it because you can use them on your website, on your marketing materials. It creates a lot of third-party credibility, okay? About us. Now, this may sound ridiculous, but this is important. On your landing page, and I'm going to talk a bit more about the landing page later on the landing page, usually we're supposed to clean it up, right? We heard that earlier, and it's correct, and I'm going to get to that as well. We don't want any navigation there. We want to keep it as clean as possible. We don't want it too clean, because if someone's going to your landing page, and you've made it extremely difficult for her to get out of the landing page because you just want her to convert, you want to make sure she knows where she's at, what your company does. Make sure you include a short boilerplate at the bottom of the page telling her which company's website this is, what you do, okay? Otherwise, you're not creating a sense of credibility. If I'm going to a landing page, especially if it's a B2C product that I'm about to buy, but even if it's a B2B that I'm just being asked for my contact details, I want to know which company is running this page. What do they do? Where do they reside? What's their phone number? How do I contact them? Include a short about us paragraph at the bottom. It can be grayed out. It can be a very small font at the bottom of the page, but you want to include something there just for credibility. Okay, let's keep going. Number 9 is tell me what to do. I've got to quote Frank Katzer, my German marketing manager at Panaya for the last 2.5 years. When asked why the email marketing in Germany works so much better than everywhere else in the world, he said, when you tell a German to click here, they click here. And they do. And apparently everyone does. Okay, if you tell people what to do, even if you think it's obvious, even if you think that cute little blue underline is enough to hint that this is clickable, be explicit about it. Tell them to click here. I've tested this. It works. If you tell them to click here, they will click here more often than if it's just underlined. I've tested things like highlighting the click here with a yellow highlighter. That works better than not highlighting the call to action at all. Okay, if you want people to register here, write that down. If you want them to fill out a form on the right, put a big bold arrow to the right telling them fill out this form on the right. Okay, they are more likely to do what you want them to do if you tell them what you want them to do. It sounds obvious, but so many people don't do this. They have a form with no caption above it, just asking for name, email. Well, it's obvious. Why don't they fill out the form? Can't they see I want them to fill out the form? Tell them to fill out the form. Ask them to fill out the form. They will do it. Much more likely than if you don't. Okay, the number 10 and last do on the 10 things to do is to use numbers. This is for your subject lines, for your landing page titles, inside your emails. People love lists of things, okay? Our minds are programmed to work in patterns, and lists of things are easy to memorize. They're easy to scan through rather than read thoroughly. I'm going to get to scanning and reading later as well. Use lists of things. So you've all seen email subject lines like 42 tips to better gardening or 15 mistakes B2B marketers make. Use lists and numbers. Start with the number at the beginning of the subject line. It grabs our eye in the inbox much more than if you bury that number later in the subject line. Now, an interesting insight from Iris Shur, the CEO and founder of Takipi, a very cool Israeli startup. She analyzed thousands of blog posts and programmatically checked what is being shared more often than others, and she reinforced this best practice of using numbers in subject lines. But more interestingly, she found that the bigger numbers work better than the small ones, and this is somewhat counterintuitive. If I had to guess before I saw her data, I would think that looking at 5 tips to better marketing would be more popular than 42 tips to better marketing, because 5 tips I can probably consume before my lunch break. 42 tips I'm going to have to take some time to invest in, but apparently it works the other way around, okay? So just like some of my previous speakers here said, you don't know anything unless you test, and she tested it. And apparently the bigger numbers work better. It probably looks more credible. It looks like a better resource. More people will download 42 tips than people who download 5 tips, okay? So try and up that number as much as you can. Okay, time for the 10 don'ts. Ooh, it's jumping back and forth. Wonderful. Okay, time for the 10 don'ts. Number 1, don't make me think. Okay, I hate thinking. You do too, even if you don't admit it. You hate thinking. Okay, here are a few examples. If you end an email with an obscure request like, let me know if I can be of further assistance, or looking forward to hearing from you soon, or let me know when you're ready to move forward, I'm not sure what you want me to do, when you want me to do it. Should I call you? Should I email you? Should we get together for coffee? Tell me what to do, okay? Don't make me think. Here are a couple of examples that don't make me think. End an email with, if you find this interesting, may I call you on Monday at 11 a.m., okay? All I'm asking you to do is open your calendar, check Monday at 11 a.m. If you're free, respond with one word, say yes, and I will call you on Monday at 11 a.m. That doesn't make me think. If you want to get a meeting with a customer, write something like, are you available for a meeting on Tuesday at 9 a.m.? I will check my calendar. If I'm available, I'll tell you yes. If not, I'll tell you no, and I'll probably suggest, but later in the afternoon, I do have an opening. How's 3 o'clock? Okay? Don't make me think. Tell me what you want me to do, when you want me to do it, how you want me to do it. It's amazing how many emails you put all the investment in, you set the right send time, the subject line was amazing, you got perfect open rates, the email content was super interesting, but then it ends with no climax. You don't tell me what you want me to do with it, okay? So make sure you have a clear call to action that doesn't make me think. Number 2, don't be a stranger. And this, I think more people get this wrong than get it right. How many emails have you received that were signed by a company name? Okay, like from Microsoft or from your Acme sales team, okay? You know that's an ad, you know that's an automated email. Why would you want to read that? Why would you want to read that? I'd much rather open an email that came from Bob, that the from field in the inbox says it's from Bob, and that the signature at the end of the email says it's from Bob, and it also gives me Bob's email and phone number in case I want to get back to him, because that's what you probably want them to do. Much more likely than if I get an email that says from the Acme sales team. Who are the Acme sales team? I haven't met them. I don't know who they are. This is obviously an ad. It's obviously an automated email, okay? And I know a lot of salespeople believe in sending something from the sales team because that gives them flexibility to decide who's going to answer it later. Don't allow them to do that. You're hurting your conversion rates. You've got to send it out from a human being with a real name, with real contact details. It takes more time to set it up, because to do it correctly, say, I want to dive into this for a few seconds, because it's really, really important, and it'll dramatically change your email results. If you're using a CRM system, okay, and you have leads in it, and each lead has an owner, say in the sales department, you have to set up the campaign so each lead gets an email signed by his lead owner with their contact details. So you set that up correctly. His name appears in the from field in the inbox. His signature, email, and telephone number appears at the bottom of the signature. So when that customer gets, or that lead gets an email, he wants to respond, he can hit reply and respond back to the lead owner, who happens to be the account manager or sales representative or whatever stage he's in. Okay, if it just says from the Panay sales team and he replies back and goes to info@acme.com, that's impersonal. I don't know who I'm writing to, who, if ever, is going to get back to me, and that immediately lowers my motivation to write back to you, okay? Use a human name, a real human name. Number 3 is don't be clever. And here's what I mean by don't be clever, because obviously you have to be clever to be in marketing and be successful. And again, this was tested time and again, especially in subject lines. Clarity trumps cleverness every time. Okay, so many companies try to stand out in the inbox that they put a lot of work in wording a very clever subject line. Okay, and I remember what I said before, if that subject line doesn't agree with your email body, I'm not going to respond to the call to action anyway. But even worse, if I don't know what you're talking about in the subject line, I'm even less likely to open that email. So rather than putting a lot of effort in being clever, write something human and write something that makes it clear what I'm going to get in the email, okay? Or at least not cause disagreement when I open that email. I showed you an example earlier that maybe isn't 100% clear about what's in the email, but it's very personal and human, like, I thought you'd like this, or I thought you'd find this interesting. And then I open it and I take off of that line and say, hey Bob, I thought you'd find this case study interesting. And that sounds like a human email. It can be totally automated, of course, but I'm not disappointed because of the agreement between the subject line and the email body, and I pretty much knew what to expect. I was expecting to get a piece of content that I would find interesting, right? But don't be clever and put something very amazing in the subject line that has nothing to do with what you have inside. It'll just annoy your reader. Next. Yes. Number 4, don't overuse I, we, and us, okay? Go through the last 10 emails. When you leave this room, go through the last 10 emails you sent to customers. Count, please do me a favor, count how many times you used different variations of I, we, us, our, my, and then count how many times you used different variations of you and your, okay? I'm guessing if you're like most people, you used I and we and us and our product and my mission and I want to call you. You used these a lot more than your needs, your time, what you need, what you want. Most people get this wrong, and people want it to be about them, okay? If Bob is reading your email, he wants you to talk about him, not about you. Don't start your email with, hi, we're Acme Inc., and we do this amazing service and product that you've got to buy from us. No. Start with, hi, Bob. I know your company does 1, 2, 3. If you're like most IT directors at companies like Disney, Mercedes, and Bosch that we've helped, you're probably challenged with 1, 2, 3. Now here's how I can help you. Okay, see how I used you and your 5 times more than I used I and our. And that works. People want it to be about them. It goes for human conversation as well. People get sick of hearing about you. Why would you do that in an email and just talk about you? Don't start talking about you. Get to what you can do to help me at the end of the email. But start with showing me that you understand my challenges, my needs, what I need from you, and only then, if I made it to the second paragraph, tell me what you can do to help me solve those challenges. Okay? So here's just a quick rule of thumb. Do this on the next 3 emails you send and count the number of you, yours versus I, we, us. A good ratio to have is use you and your twice as many times as you use I, we, and us. It'll be a very good start. It'll change the way you write emails. Number 5, don't ignore mobile, okay? I'm leaving content here for a second to discuss format. Don't ignore mobile. 49% of email is opened on a mobile device today. If you're still not testing on mobile, if you have no idea what your emails look like on mobile, if you're expecting images to be on every email client, half the people aren't reading your emails. Do not ignore mobile. Here are just a few of the aspects that you need to take into account. Your email has to be readable when images are off, which is the default in email clients like Outlook. You have to have a responsive landing page that looks good on a mobile device. You have to have little or no navigation on the landing page to make it very easy to navigate on a mobile device. And you want the form to be mobile compatible. If you've got tiny little fields, and I'm starting to type in my last name and I can't even see the last half of it in the field on mobile, that's not a mobile responsive landing page, okay? You want to test these things. Assume that 30 to 50% of your audience is opening your emails and trying to complete the action that you're asking them on their mobile device. You must be testing on mobile. Number 6, do not use multiple calls to action. This is a specific case of don't make me think, and this has been tested. There's a very famous experiment where they took a supermarket, they set up a jam stand, and on one day they sold 6 varieties of jam, just the basic, apricot, strawberry, whatever, and they measured how many sales they had that day. The next day they offered 24 varieties of jam. Now, some people will think, well, wonderful, with 24 varieties, with all the fancy, strawberry and vanilla and all sorts of fancy jams, everyone would find exactly what they're looking for, right? Choice and variety is great, right? Wrong. On the days that they offered 6 different varieties, they sold about 3 times more jams than on the day that they offered 24 varieties. People don't want to think. When you confuse them with too many choices, they walk away. They don't want to make a complicated choice. They're afraid of making the wrong choice. Okay, the chances of making a wrong choice with 6 options are lower than with 24 options. So they just walk away. Okay, here are examples of email multiple calls to action that we make, or landing page multiple call to action that we make. It's okay for the same call to action to appear twice in the email. If you've got a long email that I need to scroll down, so give me one call to action at the top, give me another one at the bottom, but make sure it's the same call to action. Don't have one call to action at the top saying download now about a white paper, and then one at the bottom that's saying sign up for our webinar now. Now, why do people do that a lot? Because you're saying, okay, the email is going to a person. Now, I'm not 100% sure they'll want to read the white paper, so why don't I also give them an option to sign up for the webinar? Or better yet, I'll also give them a link to the product landing page in case they want to read about the product, right? That way, everyone is happy. Well, no, they will not click any of them. If you give them 3 different options, they are more likely to not click any of them than if you give them one option. Put your brains together, think of the best option that most people are likely to click, and that should be the only option on your email. It should be the only option on your landing page. Okay, so it's okay to have download now at the top and download now at the bottom if you're trying to market a white paper or a survey report, but don't give me a watch webinar at the top and then download the white paper at the bottom. Most people will walk away. Okay, single call to action. That's a single call to action in every marketing medium that you use, whether it's a banner ad, an email call to action, a landing page, or even a trade show booth. Make sure you have one call to action. The people know what's the one thing you want them to do. Don't make them think. Did we skip one? Yeah, okay. Number 7, don't use long blocks of text. You see how clear the top paragraph is? Exactly. People reading your email, especially on mobile devices, they're not going to read through every word of it, okay? I know your content writer worked till 10 p.m. last night putting together a 300-word email that's just brilliant, but no one's going to read it. Use bullets. Keep them short. Try and write 5 or 6 words in a bullet point, no more than that. People scan an email and bullets give them structure. Use headlines and subheadlines. If you have 3 different topics, for example, explain to them what their problems are, how you're going to solve them, and finally what you want them to do about it. Put little headers, make them stand out with format, color, size, and make sure most of your points are in bullet points. They're much, much easier to read. People will not have the patience to sit and read a long block of text. Okay? If you can't use bullet points, use double spacing, use short lines and short sentences. Okay? Keep it short, keep it simple. Bullets are the magic bullet as far as formatting an email go. Okay, we're almost there, guys. 3 more. Number 8, don't include navigation links on your landing page. I think Amelia said that earlier in her presentation. The light blue bar here is a representative of a classic navigation bar that you have on your website, right? You don't want that on your landing page. Why don't you want that on your landing page? It goes back to what I just said about multiple calls to action. You're giving people 6 different ways to run away from what you really want them to do, okay? Now, there are 2 reasons people typically leave this navigation bar on the landing page. 1, they didn't build a dedicated landing page for a campaign. They were too lazy, so they just went into their website content management system, used the standard template and set up a page, and now they're calling it a landing page, and they think it's a landing page with this navigation bar at the top. So don't be lazy. Design a specific dedicated template for your landing page. Make sure it does not have this navigation bar. The second reason some people leave it is they say, well, you know, I'm offering this white paper, or I'm offering someone to sign up for a webinar, but what if they're not interested? Maybe they want to read more about our solutions, or about our management, or about our investors, or about our services. They don't. Okay? If you give them all those options, they may click on one of them, but that they're not filling out your form. They're not converting on your page like you wanted to. Why give them that option? Give them the one option, take a bold bet on the one option, which is what you want them to do, and that is fill out the form, and that should be the only way to exit that landing page. Okay? So we don't want the navigation bar on your landing page. Number 9, whatever you do, don't ask me to submit. Okay? The only ones I'm willing to accept a request to submit something for is the IRS. I do not want to submit anything for you. Okay? It almost sounds like you're doing me a favor by asking me to submit. I don't want to submit anything. Okay? I want the call to action button be very clear about what's going to happen after I click it and what's in it for me. Okay? So if after I click this I'm going to get to view the webinar, have the button say view the webinar. If this will download my white paper, say that on the button. Okay? If this will cause a salesperson to call me back, say that on the button. Tell me what's going to happen. Why? Because you want to reduce fear and remove friction. If I don't know what the button is going to do, okay, and submit is of course the worst option, and that's the default that most systems give you, which is why it's still the most commonly used button caption in the world. But I see all sorts of obscure things like start now. Start what? What's going to happen? If I'm going to click that, what's going to happen? Am I going to see Irish dancers on the next page? What's going to start now? Okay, tell me what's going to happen. Tell me what's in it for me. Get instant access now if you're giving me a white paper. Now I understand why I should do it and what's going to happen. Now I have no fear. I have no uncertainty about what's going to happen. I'm going to click the button. But don't ask me to submit. That's just rude. Okay? Finally, number 10, never stop testing. Enough people talked about that today. The last couple of lectures were very interesting as well, so I'm not going to go through everything, but remember that every single element, from your subject line, to the call to action, to your send time, to the landing page design, to the form length, to the image that you use. Oh, and that's a point that we missed there. I think that slide jumped. But never mind that, I'll just say it by heart. One of the slides that jumped that we missed was about using an image on your landing page. Make sure that the image that you use helps the person visualize what he's going to get by giving you their contact details. If you're giving a survey report, show an excerpt of the report, show a chart, or show a 3D representation of a binder that looks like the report that he's going to be downloading. Don't show smiling business women in business suits shaking hands, unless that's what you're giving them after they click submit, right? Please show them, help them visualize what they're going to get by filling out your page. Don't just show some generic image because your designer thought it was cool and needed some color on the page. Again, this is something we tested. An image that it visualizes what you're giving by filling out the form will help you convert more. If it distracts from what you're giving, or if it doesn't add anything, it's just going to lower your conversion rate. You might as well have a text-only landing page. It's okay, unless you can find an image that visualizes what you're giving. Okay? And finally, a test. Okay, so these are the 10 do's that we went over very quickly. Send awesome content. In 2 slides, there's a pop quiz, so you better be ready. Number 1 is send awesome content, don't be boring. Number 2, write as you would speak, okay? Unless you speak with 3 exclamation marks, don't write like that either. Make sure all campaign elements are in agreement. Your subject line must agree with the email body, must agree with the landing page, must agree with your banner. Sell the sizzle, not the steak. Remember, use power words like explore, discover, secrets, uncover. Number 5, use an image that visualizes what you're giving. That slide must have jumped while we were talking there. Number 6, it's all about reciprocation. Give free content before you ask me for contact details, and then give me more free content, okay? Give me more than you promised. Number 7, use other customers as social proof. Use their names in an email. Use their logos without asking for permission. Don't tell them I said that. On your website, go for forgiveness rather than permission. Create credibility with third-party awards with a short boilerplate on your landing page. 9, tell me what to do. If you tell them to click here, they will click here. Remember that. Number 10, use numbers. 49 tips for something works better than 5 tips for something. Use lists. People love lists. Okay, ready for the pop quiz? One more slide. The 10 don'ts. 1, don't make me think. Don't make me think. Tell me when you want me to do something. If you want to set up a meeting for Tuesday at 9, say that. Don't leave it at looking forward to hearing from you soon, because you won't. Number 2, don't be a stranger. Sign the email with a human name. The from and the signature should be from Bob, not from the Acme sales team. Number 3, don't be clever. Clarity trumps cleverness every time. Make sure that the email subject line makes it very clear what's going to be inside. Number 4, don't overuse I, we, and us. Make sure you use you and your at least twice as much as I, we, and us. Number 5, don't ignore mobile. Half of your readers are opening your email in a mobile. If you're not allowing them to continue all the way to the landing page and finish the form on mobile, you're losing half the people. Number 6, don't use multiple calls to action. It just confuses people. They don't want to make a difficult decision. They will leave. Give them one option of what you want them to do. Do not use long blocks of text. Use bullet points instead. Number 8, don't include navigation links on your landing page. It just gives people more reasons to leave the page and more ways out without doing what you wanted them. Number 9, don't ask me to submit. It's just rude. Tell me what's going to happen and why I should click the button, like get instant access now or download here. Number 10, never stop testing, multivariate testing, A/B testing. Test everything about your landing pages and emails. Now, how many of these are you already doing? How many are doing about 10 of these 20? Raise of hands. Wonderful. How many are doing 13? Wonderful. How many are doing 17? Okay, send me your CV to udi@yotpo.com. I'm Udi. Thank you very much.